Yes, welcome to No Ideas Original Podcast featuring Shannon, Mr. Rob, and Zane. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
What's
What up?
good?
What up?
What's going
Yo,
on, fellas?
yo. But before we start the show, Zane was behind the scenes showing us his memorabilia collection. His memorabilia collection is unmatched.
Yes,
This
you got
this
some
dude
good.
heavy in the memorabilia game.
You got some goodies, yo.
Yeah, I got the original GI Joes from the GI Joe cards from 1991. Who's that on the front? Hawk. I got
Yo,
Hawk. I got Baroness. I got everybody but Destro. I got remember Zartan.
Zartan, yeah.
Zartan.
which
Yeah.
it makes me think that maybe we need to try to see about getting somebody who's like a memorabilia person on one of these shows, one of these episodes.
I got two people. Oh, we got two people already. I already hit them up. They waiting on us.
Zane hype. Yo, how was your week?
It was all right,
Go ahead,
man.
Rob.
To play, man. Just still doing the house stuff. Yeah, it was pretty quiet this week. Not too much going on, man. To be honest with you, not that I can remember.
Yeah. What about for you, Zane?
Oh man, I'm enjoying this weather down here, man. Enjoying the weather, getting that fresh air. I spoke to my mom's earlier today. Shout out to my mom's. She said it's gonna be like 80 something next week, so I'm ready for that weather, man. Plus, I'm still trying to chisel down a little bit, get my little like have less body fat, so that later on when I do decide to go out, for vacay, summer vacation or whatever, be looking right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what you doing? I know the other day we spoke. You was riding your bike. How many miles?
Yeah,
a day?
You still out there?
About 5-6 miles a day.
That's good.
All right.
Yeah, still do the jogging, and I haven't. But thing about it, I don't touch no weights, bro. I haven't touched weights since like playing football in high school. I don't touch no weights.
Cardio is
Just do all cardio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is
Keep a
that?
healthy diet and do the cardio. Huh?
Why is it? Why don't you lift weights?
I mean, I'm already strong for my size. I mean, I'm 200, but I don't look 200. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people be surprised about my weight, and when you have more muscle than fat, you're gonna have that chisel physique. You know what I'm saying? And like people think I'm like 170 or whatever. I'm not. I'm 200. You know what I'm saying? But muscle is heavier than fat, basically.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. The only thing with like people who lift a lot, sometimes what happens is after a while they get doughy. Like if you don't keep up with lifting, after a while you get doughy. So you gotta be careful with that. Man, the weather this week has been really good, aside from that one day where we had all that rain, but Tuesday was like 70 something.
Yeah. Up here is a little colder, man. It's been cold up here, man.
Maybe you're in the mountains now.
In the freaking mountains, man. This weather's creepy, man.
You're in the mountains now. Yo, but we got a good show. Well, I think it's a good show tonight with lots of interesting topics. We're gonna talk about Black Rob, untimely passing. Rest in peace to Shock G. We're gonna talk about Bobby Shmurda's first on-camera interview, also with Maino on Kitchen Talk. We started having a conversation on Knowledge Born's podcast with Red Pill, where we was talking about how Apple is now going to be paying artists 1 cent to stream. Of course, we're going to talk about the Derek Chauvin verdict, and then we're going to talk about, sadly, the young lady, 16 years old from Ohio, Ma'Khia Bryant's death. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to add a fourth person to the crew tonight to join us in these discussions. It's my pleasure to invite this brother onto our platform, Mr. Knowledge Born Allah. We had the pleasure of going on to his platform and having a conversation with him. Knowledge Born from Do the Knowledge Radio. For those that don't know, Knowledge, tell us a little bit about yourself, brother.
Yo, peace, family. Can y'all hear me all right?
Yeah.
All right, man. It's an honor to be here. I don't get invited a lot of places. If y'all checked out my platform, y'all would see why. You understand what I'm saying? So it's an honor to be here in the same place. I see my brother Billy dance. You see what I'm saying? I see so many of the greats come through. It's an honor to be here. I see brothers like yourselves that got it together, and y'all doing it as a family. I think that's a lost art And a lot of the topics that we're going to get into stem from family culture, and family tradition, or the lack thereof. So, Do Knowledge Radio was started about 6 years ago with that vein in mind of connecting family, celebrating family, ancestrally celebrating family through our eldership, celebrating family through our peer group and through our youth. Giving a voice to the voiceless. You see what I'm saying? And whatever your origin story as Black people, because we're not monolithic, whether it's here in the Americas or back in the mother continent or wherever you reside from as Black people. You understand? Giving a voice to them to celebrate their stories and share their vision, talents, skills, capabilities with the world. So, I met y'all along the way in the same vein because I see us akin to each other in regards to what y'all provide as a brand and some of y'all vision. So
Appreciate
glad
that.
to be here.
Thank you,
Appreciate
bro.
knowledge, because I know how YouTube works. You get a lot of people that come on at the front end, and some people only watch the front, and some people only watch the end. So go ahead and plug where people could catch your show at, and then at the end we're gonna have you plug your show again.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube. We suffer from the same attention deficit disorder. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's ratchetness, a healthy appetite of the BS. You see what I'm saying? So they're tuning in 8 hours for some smut. 10 minutes, something righteous. But we working to change that narrative. You see what I'm saying? So y'all can catch me on YouTube, www.youtube.com/Do the Knowledge Radio. Let me spell that because I'll be seeing that THE out there. I don't know who y'all gonna get with that THE. Don't let spell correct get you corrected. You understand what I'm saying? It's DOTHA, and that A is for my origin of my family. We African people. You understand? So it's THA. Y'all can have the THE. That's for
Right.
European. They can have that. You see what I'm saying? So we deal with DOTHA, KNOWLEDGERADIO. So check us out on YouTube, and I give the other social media stuff at the end. Y'all can follow me on IG though. Y'all see it right there. I had to get in uniform with everybody else when I pulled up. Like, hold up, let me add that caveat to the end. You understand what I'm saying?
You know how we rock. Yo, so let's get right into it. Sadly, last week we lost Black Rob. With that being said, there's been a lot going on by way of social media and a lot of conversations about what Puffy's responsibility is, in terms of Black Rob's recently passing. So I want to put it to the panel and just get you guys, just get your opinion on it. Should Puffy have done more for Black Rob? We'll start with Zane. What do you think?
Yeah, let alone Black Rob. I think Puffy should have did a lot for all the artists that was on his label, but that's a whole nother story. As far as with Black Rob, R.I.P. to him, put out incredible music. Was a great voice that added to the culture of hip hop. I just feel that if you have all this money, damn near a billionaire, and just because you're not still directly working with this particular artist, you could have still did something. But that's not to say that Puffy didn't do anything. I mean, we going off what we read. We don't know if Puffy did stuff behind the scenes or not, but a lot of times you have to be proactive. When you see somebody falling down and they on drugs or stressed out or whatever, you gotta, you know what I'm saying? You gotta pick them up, because at the same time, it's the same man that made this other brother so many millions off a record sold, off of probably merch and all this other stuff. So, I mean, if that was me, I would have done that, but that's not to say that Puffy didn't do anything from behind the scenes that people don't know. I'm just going off what the media is saying of stuff that comes on our feed.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of watching a video. It was an interview with Black Rob. He was on a platform, and the host kept trying to, I guess, bait him into saying negative things about Puff. And being a gentleman that Black Rob wouldn't take the bait. He said that Puffy gave him $450,000 for 10 albums. And the guy was saying, okay, so that doesn't seem like a lot for 10 albums.
Right.
But Black Rob was satisfied with it. He was like, nah, I was getting that, plus I was getting my show money. Black Rob attributed more of his financial ills to him owing child support rather than Puffy. Like, he really didn't have anything negative to say about Puff. He just said that Puff, after a while, I guess, severed the relationship after Black Rob ended up going to jail. What do you think, Knowledge Born? What do you say about this?
Well, it's real iffy because the heartstrings have you in a certain kind of place, and knowing how, you know, of how much of a bastard the industry is. The industry is designed to make you penniless, designed to make you, you know, look like Rob looked on his way out. You see what I'm saying? The entertainment industry as a whole. So we was talking about, you know, I opened with family. Family is important. Y'all had Prospect on. I talked to Prospect as well. He just talked about when you on top, everybody love you. You see what I'm saying? Right. And when you no longer relevant, you no longer have relevance. Mm-hmm. This is a business at the beginning, the middle, and the end.
That's right.
And these people are very deceptive with their speech, their language, and their behavior. The thing about, like us, we've been around other brothers and sisters, all kind of stuff. You see what I'm saying? When they target these young people, from young people, they have them in their circles ever since they were young people. Puffy started as what? An intern there. So he learned all of the animal business ways in that place from an intern to the person who's in charge. Okay, they say, okay, well, he got all this money. How did he get this money? And what did he do to his fellow men in order to get this money? You understand what I'm saying? So these are all intricacies that are there. And Shana, you brought up an interesting point. No matter what they said to the brother, Black Rob, he wasn't going to say nothing against Puff. They wasn't going to use him to do that. You understand what I'm saying? And if you hear from some of the other people, that's the same story. Everybody follows their script. You see what I'm saying? Black Rob was a man. You know, we all men. If we doing bad, you gotta fight a man to help a man sometimes. You understand what I'm saying? Look, you could be going through something as a man. You ain't gonna tell nobody. That ain't nobody's business. You see? So there's pendulums on both, whether the pendulum swings to the extreme on both sides. On one side, Black Rob is a man. You see what I'm saying? A black man, he know he gonna do what he gotta do. He gonna suffer in silence. On the other side, we have to know that the game has a short leash and a very short attention span. If we don't see you no more, you don't exist no more. You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of issues that we could get into, whether we look at Black Rob, whether we looked at DMX, whether we looked at Shock G. These are all instances where you had to look at people who gave to the art form, and there was nothing for him. There was nothing for them. But then you see the spin at the end, where everybody got pictures. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody got the pictures like, yo, word is born. I remember, son, Black Rob came to my crib. He bought me some Now Laters, you know what I'm saying? Back in 85. Like, that was my brother, man. Rest in peace. Like, who are you doing that for? You see what I'm saying? So all of that attention. So for everybody who got the pictures, whatever, they say, yo, we're going to start a fund for his family. You understand what I'm saying? But people don't operate like that. They operate in that space when they've been around snakes, and you grow up with snakes, and you come up with snakes, and you get snaked in faith. You looking for somebody else to snake in faith. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, these are things that you carry with. You know, these are things that you carry with, and I think that Puffy did what he was supposed to do, which was nothing, because, you know, he, from that distance and that vantage point, there's nothing to be made off what he could do. You see what I'm saying? Like, so if you look at it now, if I come out with some shit like he did when Big died, I'm missing you. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you come out with that joint, you just got to pay attention to what's going on, and then you look at the history of Bad Boy Records and all of the artists that were on Bad Boys.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So you got to kind of put that in perspective.
Yeah, you make a good point. I think you think about like the emotional piece, the heartstring piece and where we are as just humans, where everybody is like, could Puff possibly have done more? And then I was thinking about it also. I was like, man, I think it really depends on the person and what your expectations are of somebody, right? Because you think about, like, all of us are old enough to know that there have been occasions where somebody may have come to you and asked you, can you get them a job? And the extent of your reach has been being able to get them an interview, and they were satisfied with that, right? Like, you know what, you get me in a room, I'll do my thing. And then from there, from me doing my thing, it's on me. And I think that, I don't know what it is in this day and age, but I feel like sometimes we've moved away from that a little bit. Like, we're more inclined to look at things that go awry and put responsibility on other people to resolve and fix those matters. And I look at this Black Rob situation and I say, and of course it's easy for me observing it from afar to say, like, could Puff have done more for him? Probably so, but did Puff do something for him by actually putting him in the game, right? For some people, it's like, you know what, you put me in, I'll figure out how I monetize my name, where I go from it, what I do with it and everything. And I think that Puff, because of his business practice and his reputation, sometimes he gets a lot of slander that may not be justifiable. And Zane was saying it earlier, we don't really know what Puff did for him behind the scenes, if he did or if he didn't do. But the narrative around Puff has just been out there that Puff is a shrewd businessman and that all his artists, go down in flames. I mean, you think about, like, NBA players, they're NBA players that get a windfall of money and piss their funds away. People don't blame the NBA and be like, well, the NBA, it's the NBA fault. Maybe because the NBA is not represented by one singular individual that has a face that you could put it on that particular person. But I think that, like, sometimes as individuals, we have to be able to take some level of accountability for our actions. So if child support was a burden for him and depleted his funds,
right,
that's a predicament that Black Rob put himself in. If he was looking for Puff to continue to do music with him, at this point, Puff is not really even doing music. So to me, it's almost like, I could bring you in the game, but am I responsible for kind of holding your hand throughout the whole process? And I don't know if people have that expectation of Puff or just people in general. Yeah, Rob.
Well, I mean, if you look at the history of Puff and taking nothing away from it, he's brought us great music, but everyone that seems that's tied to Puff seem to catch the bad end of the stick. And you're right, accountability is, upon Black Rob. About if you get $450,000, which I think 10 albums is like a robbery, but $450,000 ain't nothing to sneeze on. Mm-hmm. You should be able to account for the pennies that you acquire and distribute them to your family the way you think it should be distributed. Now, if you still coming into this game with the same mentality you left the street with, the two is not going to coincide. You got to come in here with a business mind, be ready to, ready to do business. Mm-hmm. And take another one from Black Rob. Black Rob gave us some brilliant work, man. And it's hard to hear someone go down the way he went down. And this is one thing I encourage all the listeners too, man. Kidney disease, man. Please go find out what your numbers are. Go know what your creatinine numbers. Your creatinine numbers is the health of your kidney. This man died from kidney failure as I was reading. And a lot of brothers are walking around here not knowing that they already have kidney failure. Mm-hmm. Go check that out, man, because it'll take you out real fast. But from the Puffy standpoint, I don't think Puffy's responsible for another grown man. I actually think that's Black Rob. Yeah, Black Rob, his family, his supporters, the people around him. That's where you get your support from. But Puff, like you said, he brought him in the game, showed him the ropes. From that point, if you got a good, strong team around you, they get you your shows. You create some merch. Before you know it, who knows? You might get in a movie. I mean, you got a network that you got to work your talent, so to speak. So that's my point. So
I guess as if with everything that's going on with Puff in terms of these artists, you think it's fair to say that Puff may have not taught these people how to fish? Well, like he fed them and gave them the money, but he didn't teach them how to fish for themselves.
Well, I think Puff left them to their own demise, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's like you wanted to get in this game to be an artist or a rapper or MC. All right, here it is, and this is what we're going to do. And I think at that point, I mean, it can be so convoluted and cloudy because this industry is so many different variances and demons and shit behind it. Who really knows? You know what I'm saying? But no, I don't think Puff was responsible for any part of it. To be honest with
you see a narrative though. Like to me, there's a narrative that goes around because when DMX passed, everybody was saying, "Well, where was this person? Why didn't they do more for DMX? Or where was DMX friends?" And it's just like people. There's just like this assumption that people aren't doing things to try to help people.
But people, you gotta remember, these people are individuals too.
Now, and they're willing to receive or want the help.
There you go. There's a lot of people, man. You tell yo, bro, go to the clinic, check out, man. You don't look good, man. Yo, you might need to go get a checkup. Man, I'm all right. I'm good. You know, that stubbornness and that proudness sometimes creep in, and people don't want the help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I think it's just unfortunate because I know he died from kidney failure, and I know there are a lot of people out here dealing with kidney failure and hypertension. They're walking around with the stress. It's a bad look, man. I think we just need to get better on our health tip, man.
Right.
I think another thing that we spoke about, at least I wouldn't say 7, at least about 4 times that we discussed it in prior episodes is that we need to have they need to have a hip hop union, man. You know what I'm saying? I think a hip hop union is the catalyst of the main reason why a lot of these rappers, or not even rappers, just people in general, but ultimately rap, because it seems like it's some type of plague that goes on where a lot of our legendary artists are just passing away too quick. And
let me ask you this: will a union help the artists on the front end, on the back end? Because we usually bring up this union situation when
it gotta be both, bro. It gotta be both. It gotta be both. It gotta be it gotta be a 3-way thing. They gotta help them from the initial point of where they sign the contract. They gotta help them, guide them through, and then closing out on the end. Just like how with the NBA have it to where once the NBA athletes, get out the league, them dudes is set. Them dudes got certain stuff, a safety blanket,
not all of them. Not all of them, because they got business managers.
No.
They get a pension.
No, but peep this though. Like where I was actually going with it was that okay, Diddy has the rep for like doing quote unquote bad business, but at the same time, Diddy is very transparent. Diddy has his own started his own label. Diddy has a clothing line. Diddy has liquor out. Diddy does a lot of different things. Now that's not to say that none of these artists that he signed back in the day that allegedly had got a bad deal, they could have done the same things. They could have diversified their portfolio, not just being a rapper. If you're gonna get signed, start your label, then sign. Do a partnership with the label that you're signing with. Have merch out.
No one guiding
do various other different things. Huh?
No one is guiding the artist coming from the street or wherever they're coming from to know these type of things. You need to be.
See that right there, Rob, I think is an excuse. Not to say that's how you thinking. You just saying for the general public. I'm not saying that's you saying that. That you just thinking from the outside looking in. And
not everyone's on the label though, too. Some people, so everybody, social media thing has made everybody think they're boss. Everybody don't want boss responsibilities.
Right. But at the end of the day, if you see 7 or 8 other artists prior to you getting signed get a bad rep, and you don't have nothing to fall back on, you gotta wisen up. And that goes for any artist that or any rapper that has aspirations of becoming a megastar or want to stay underground. You gotta have your business right.
You know something though? We have to think. We're talking about, we coming from a place where we ain't have shit. Right. So somebody put 450 grand in front of us, like, you may have patience when you've been exposed to money or your living conditions are better than others. But if you in the projects, you ain't got a pot to piss in, a window to throw it out. You ain't got no jewelry. You ain't got no money. The women don't love you. You can't get your bottles. you struggling in the street. You got child support and all this stuff to pay. They put 450 grand in front of you. People ain't even thinking about the contract. I think in that same interview, the guy was asking him something about the contract, and he was like, I don't really know. I just signed it right there. Knowledge, tap in, Knowledge.
That's a $450,000 advance. That's a loan.
Yeah.
And you indebted. You indebted.
Oh, no. He said that that's what Puff actually gave him. That wasn't. He didn't have to recoup that. He said he had
to recoup that.
Yeah, he's recoupable that he gave him.
Now look at it even worse. You got 450,000 for how many albums?
45
for how many albums?
An album for 10 albums.
For 10 albums, right? And they decide what's an album. You don't decide what's an album. You understand? Like these, like this is true. This is all contract. This is all entertainment. Like I talked to Tracy Lee. Tracy Lee left hip hop and went and got his degree and as a lawyer and came back as an entertainment lawyer.
Yeah, for real.
And I said, what was the catalyst? He was like, yo, I got dropped from a label. You understand? Like you got like their contracts. This is contractual. This is 100% business. These athletes who get this money, all of this stuff, you're penalized for everything. You understand? If they come to you with weight or whatever, you late for practice, or if you don't do whatever these agreed upon things, you're docked, you're fine. All these other things, like there's all kinds of things in there. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm on y'all platform, so I'm gonna behave myself. You understand what I'm saying? Like there's certain groups of people that's out here that draw up those contracts for a particular reason.
Right.
They want you, indebted. You understand what I'm saying? Like this is how the society functions, off of debt, not of prosperity. You see what I'm saying? So this is a debtor society because in this society, someone has to be capitalized on. You see what I'm saying? Someone has to be capitalized on. So when they see that talent and that marketability and that them skills, they're not looking at helping nobody. They looking to see how much I got to give so I can make and recoup, and then how much I'm going to make off of this. You understand what I'm saying? So that's marketability. That's all of these other aspects that you're not looking at. That's what I said. You got to go back and really look at how Puff learned. Puff was a dancer. He wasn't never the talent. He wasn't never no artist. Wasn't nobody coming to see him. Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. You understand what I'm saying? So he was the dude that learned the art of the deal. He learned the art of the deal. He was an intern at Uptown, and then he struck out to do his own thing. You see what I'm saying? So, Craig Mack and Big, these were rolls of the dice. So once you learn from those experiences, now you become a predator. And the people that you come in contact with are prey, because you were preyed on.
That's right.
You were preyed on. And you watch people get preyed on, and you didn't have no problem with it. So you begin to prey on people. How the hell can I come to you as a man? You understand what I'm saying? That come from the same streets I come from. Black Rob was in the streets with that ski mask on. You understand what I'm saying? Before this. And who knows what else. So you come to them with a proposition, it's loaded. You know what you're walking into. You understand? They don't know. That's predator prey behavior. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So this is why the business deals go awry in the same space. So for the transparency and the stuff that's being addressed, it's transparent that I'm gonna do you in. So he did them in, he did them other people in, and then in turn those other people went to do other people in. You see what I'm saying? Like this is learned behavior. That's why I was going back to talking about family. Like in Black Rob case, if he ain't have no father and his father ain't telling him to go to the doctor, he ain't going to no doctor. You understand what I'm saying? Like, look at the ills that become in our community with stigmas, with mental health, and all these other aspects that are there. These are all factors. You have to see somebody do something in order for you to do something. You know what I mean? So if you didn't grow up with regular checkups, yearly checkups, or quarterly or semi-annual checkups, whatever the case may be, you don't know nothing about that. Money not going to change that. Money not going to make you responsible. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like money is going to make you another kind. So then now, if he gave him a $500,000, let's just round it up and say, this is not recoupable, but you're responsible for this, this, and this. Your $450,000 is gone before your album is out.
Mm-hmm.
You're responsible for your studio time. You're responsible for your wardrobe. You're responsible for the stuff for your albums and all this other stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah. You respond. This is a business. Mm-hmm. So if you can't navigate them waters, if you're not wise to this type of deception, you're going to get got. You understand? If I'm out there flossing, I got my ring and the bracelet and the chains and shit, and I'm flossing and cats don't got that. What's gonna happen to me? Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So when you out here, you could come from the jacks. You know the shell game, you know the card game, but you don't look at this business like any of that. You look at this business like a way out. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? So it's another way into another level of servitude that you can't even fathom.
Yeah.
I always give this example every time, but then I yield. Hulk Hogan then had them fucking tights on and the wrestling boots since the 70s, Jim. He can never retire. You understand? He can never retire. So whatever kind of little scheme or plot that they come up with, he gonna have to roll with it. He been in them tights since the 70s. You understand what I'm saying? He was in Rocky 3 with them damn tights on. You understand? So you gotta understand that, like, that's the game. Like, this dude said he was retiring and then walked out with a 50-year contract. You see what I'm saying? Like, they're not playing those games with you. They're going to find a way to market you, whether you see them or don't see them. They dictate how much visibility you get. And then you go from being, just example, the Hulkamaniac dude to not being seen no more. Now you're going to be like, yo, what's up, man? Why ain't nobody going to see me and blah, blah, blah. These are all traps.
Yeah,
we know we got you. You desperate for that. You see what I'm saying? So we just looking at the situation for what it is and being real. We gotta understand there's a lot more pitfalls that's going on.
Right,
man. I say this. I think the thing that always get Puffy caught up too is that people compare and contrast. They pocket watch and they look and they're like, damn, Puffy, hundreds of millions of dollars. This person jacked up. Which is unfair to him. Like at the end of the day, if Puffy was a better businessman and he did what he needed to do with his money, or he figured out a way to work the game, you can't pin that on him. Like, as an adult, people have their own responsibility. Some people want to be fed and some people just want to learn. So there are plenty of people who are happy with just like, yo, just teach me the game so that way I can use the game and get paid. People who sit back and wait for handouts sometimes find themselves in peculiar situations. Yeah, Rob, you was gonna say something?
Yeah, I was going to say you can fish for somebody or you can teach them how to fish, man. But then some people aren't receptive to want to learn how to fish. And what you do then? I mean, you gotta still take care of yourself, man.
For sure. Yes. Let's talk about. I don't know if y'all had a chance to see it. Did y'all see Bobby Shmurda's first on-camera interview since his prison release with Maino when he did Kitchen Talk? What'd you think about it, Rob?
I thought it was a pretty good interview. Shout out to Chewy. That's his hood name.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, man. Bobby Shmurda was a typical kid in Brooklyn, man. Little knucklehead, but we all seen the little kids that run through and you're like, where's your mother? Like, he was one of them type of kids. Mm-hmm. But I tell you, man, he said it himself. He was already feeling the indictment come along. He was being investigated 4 years before the shit even happened. Yeah. So he knew he was getting himself into. But in the interview, it was refreshing to hear him say the things that he was saying about about police reform and the shit that the police department was trying to do to him, playing guns on him and all that. But in the same breath, he was telling Maino, was like, yo, man, you see how I got out of that? This has to happen to some of the young brothers that follow me and even my peers. They need to hear the support of other people coming to help them get out of these situations. Nobody wants to be in the hood for the rest of their life. But although the hood gives you but a few options to get out of the hood.
Yeah.
And so I love the interview. I think a lot of it comes from, off the family situation. A lot of it is psychosomatic because we get used to just normalizing trauma and support negativity. And we get caught in the hood with that shit. You know what I'm saying? And then we end up making decisions that ain't good for us. We end up going through the system. and then end up getting erected, and then then it goes downhill. But for him, I like the fact that he's turned his life around, man. And maybe this time, and it's funny what time does. Time gives you an opportunity to evaluate yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And whatever time he was doing, 4 years, whatever time he said he was doing in the box, it gave him time. It gave him time to reflect. It gave him time to see what he was doing wrong versus what he can do right. And the advantages and the resources he had around him. It's like, I'm bugging. Like, how come I'm still going through this cyclical, systematic trauma of ending up in prison when I'm thinking I'm supporting, taking care of my family? Yeah. And that happens in every hood, you know what I mean? But I love the interview. The interview was a dope interview.
The growth, man, the growth from I would have never thought I would have heard Bobby Shmurda say those kind of things. It's like this dude came out of prison, and I know it's still early with him being out, but just the maturity, like there was a lot of talking there about outreach to younger kids, talk about how he hurt his mom, and he was saying like the stuff that he was doing in the street didn't bother him near as much as seeing his mom crying and embarrassment of his mom. I was like, damn,
she was afraid to keep the family. She would lie about where he was. And
it just seemed like that he gained some insight as a result of going to prison. Zane, what's up? What you think?
I think the interview was good. It showed that basically Shmurda put everything on the line. It was nothing hidden. And I think that the main thing, besides him hurting his moms, for being incarcerated, Shmurda looked at the situation where we haven't seen another young artist make that effect since Soulja Boy. Two totally different types of music. Mm-hmm. But Shmurda was like the number one artist at that time before he went in. And imagine what Shmurda would have been right now. So I think now that Shmurda, got a second chance, I see him coming out eventually with a book. He'll be in movies, get movie deals, stuff like that. He might even start, other things as far as, if he's not already, as far as doing major investments and stuff like that. Because once Hot Nigga came out, man, you had the NBA adopt that. You had LeBron. You had the major stars. Everybody was co-signing that, and I just think that now that he has a second chance, his head is clear. He see the vision, and he has some wiser people around him. Not to say that he's not still showing love to his crew and like the original day ones, but Bobby Shmurda see that now it's time to get back to that bag. And I think he's gonna come out with some great music. But the one thing that I like, if I was Bobby Shmurda, being that he has so much of gravitation with these fans of all walks of life, this dude needs to have something like what's that joint you be telling me about, man? It start with a P. What's that platform?
What you talking about? Patreon?
Patreon. This dude can go up there, do like a live concert and make some serious bread, man. Like Shmurda right now, it's your time, bro. Welcome home. Do the right thing. Stay out. Blessings. But Shmurda right now could definitely do a lot of things right now as far as for having people pay to see his live performance and flourish from there.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a bold prediction right now and say this: Bobby Shmurda's legacy won't be defined by his music. It won't be Bobby Shmurda's. Bobby Shmurda's music is not gonna be his legacy. When it's all said and done, Bobby Shmurda is gonna be, which he already established. Like the folklore of the hood as a solid dude who,
right? It might be
he was involved in the street and took his time, didn't go to jail, and telling his friends and stuff like that. And he made songs that people like, but at the end of the day, I don't know if the time that he did, music passed him by. But to me, it's good to see him still be able to be profitable, to prosper. Even if he doesn't prosper financially, what I seen was somebody who seemed to be happy and seeing somebody who seemed to be genuinely enjoying life. You know, and that to me is much more valuable. So when it's all said and done, I don't know if we're gonna be talking about Bobby Shmurda.
I think he learned his lesson too. I think he learned the lesson by repeatedly going back and forth to jail. After some point, you consciously got to say, "Why? What the hell am I? Why am I keep going through this?
Some people
get it wrong." You know what I'm
saying? Some people get it. Some people don't. What do you think, Knowledge?
I think that recidivism and mental health plays a lot of factors. And you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Prison is a business too. Mm-hmm. You know, prison was explained to me by a guy on the car lot. He said, "We don't make money on the first cell. We take a loss most times on the first cell. We banking on you and your family coming back, mm-hmm. and your friends and everybody else. That's prison, G. Mm-hmm. That's the jails, you know, that's the county. That's youth detention at first. You see what I'm saying? So that's the teaser. You know, my brother Oba, man, peace to my brother, man. My brother Oba was talking about the element of criminality and its linked to the first part of it being violence. You understand what I'm saying? If you can already deal with the violence, you can deal with every other aspect of criminality. Right. And this other aspect of criminality in regards to that is imprisonment and how the prison culture is indoctrinated in your neighborhood. You see what I'm saying? Oh, my brother about to go down. Oh, my brother just came home. You understand what I'm saying? Like, are you there? Not even really glorification, just the acceptance of it. That's a different thing. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you was around men, you know, like I was, you know, coming up and I was doing dumb shit, somebody put hands on you. You understand what I'm saying? Or you wasn't allowed to come around. If you wasn't around, you know, elder men, you had to conduct yourself in a certain kind of manner. You see what I'm saying? You couldn't be a dude that wasn't taking care of his children. And they found out, and you thought you was going to be able to come in around. See what I'm saying? These are aspects that are there, and because these generations in between didn't go through that kind of rites of passage, everybody suffers. You see what I'm saying? Everybody suffers. So you could go to somebody's house, one of your neighbors, and get something to eat. You don't even know your neighbors now. You understand what I'm saying? So a communal stance in regards to what that was, when it was tight knit, it was love. When it wasn't, you see the after effects. You see what I'm saying? My sister Keisha up there in Brooklyn, you know what I mean? Like there's different kind of mechanisms that, you know, she had put in place from forever to be dealing with recidivism, to be dealing with all kinds of stuff that be going on in the city. She real active out there in Brooklyn. You understand what I'm saying? From a myriad of levels. If there aren't advocates out here that look like you, that know your struggle, that know what you're going to, you fool. You see what I'm saying? The police got to make their quotas. Amount of beds from these private prisons got to be filled that are contracted by the dealings with the state. So it ain't even really right or wrong. You understand? It ain't even really right or wrong. I want us to know our mindset about prison and those that are in prison. We got to change that. We got to rebuild them relationships so we eliminate recidivism by welcoming home in a fashion where which we set up, you know, situations to where which they come home and stay home. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So just for instance, like if you come home, your object is to stay home. You see what I'm saying? Like your objective is to stay home. So your family got to be tied to that situation, just like you tied to the situation home with them. But if you're not coming home to them, wherever you coming to, it got to be, you know, a certain type of, you know, level to where they looking at that. These psychological ramifications is crazy because if you ain't never been to jail, you don't know what somebody went to jail goes through. You know, one of our prolific figures in our history went to jail. Martin Luther King. How many times did he go to jail? You understand what I'm saying? Right. How many times did he go to jail? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you a biblical person, Jesus went to jail. John the Baptist went to jail. Paul went to jail. They went to jail. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so when you look at it from a perspective like, oh, they're doing some wild shit, that's why it don't take nothing. We seen what Khalif brought her. It don't take nothing to go to prison.
That's a fact.
It takes absolutely nothing to go to prison and end up in Rikers. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you know, the Central Park Five went to prison. They did nothing. You understand what I'm saying? They was just outside. You know what I mean? So there's plenty of cases that we're seeing now with this, with the psychological effects of being in prison, whether you did something right or wrong, they're the same. So we really have to have that understanding and that patience and that love for our returning citizens, but they have to return to something to keep them out of that cycle, break that cycle of recidivism and the psychological effects that are associated with the positives and the negatives that's going to prison. So Bobby Shmurda is home. Hopefully he really uses that time and get the counseling that he needs and to really evaluate everybody that's in the circle to see if they're beneficial or detrimental to him being home. You see what I'm saying?
And
So I think that's a big takeaway.
Yeah, it seems like he's doing that he's really trying to step back and look at like who's gonna be somebody.
You got to change behavior too, though. You got to change behavior like 100%.
Yeah.
And that's the consistency with your behavior change. That's a lifestyle change. You forever one step away from prison or the graveyard as a black man, woman, or child in America. Mm-hmm. You understand? We got to know that.
Sure. Man, yeah, if you talk about recidivism, like one of the things that I always say when it comes to recidivism is that you tell people when they get out of prison, they got to get a job. But then, you know, there's all kind of stigmas associated with hiring people that have criminal backgrounds. So they call themselves taking it off the application. So now you can't ask people, but some jobs still require background checks. You know, you put a person in a position where they can't feed their family, they're going to go back to resorting to what they know how to do to feed their family. You know, you look at Maslow's hierarchy, like food, shelter, basic things that people want out of life that they have to have, and they're going to get it by any means, or they're going to do what they need to do by any means to make sure that they could fill their needs. But the thing that I think that helps Bobby Shmurda also is that Bobby Shmurda, at this point in time, with him coming home, it seems like he has a lot of people around him that genuinely support and care about him. And that's what I'm saying, knowledge born. But I go back to which is true. That's why I said, like, his legacy is not going to be about his music. His legacy may be somebody who actually demonstrated that you can be reformed and do good things with your life outside of it. Because right now he's very much anti-gang, anti-violence and everything. We have to just stay tuned to see if he can continue that pattern of behavior. Yeah, Rob.
No, I was going to say, man, he even had the CEOs pushing for him in jail, man. When he's getting there, they were smacking like, what you doing back here, man? Like, you got too much going on for you, man. And too many times we just normalize the trauma that we've been through because it's what we've been through. It's what we've experienced all our lives is the trauma, and it becomes so normal, so passe. But like, forget about it. I'll just move on with my life, and you never really recoup from those things. And that's the reason why I would repeat, man. And mental health, we got to do better with that, man. We really got to support one another. And if your brother's down, check on him, man. You good? You all right? You need to talk. You need to just air out. I do it all the time, man. I talk to my brothers all the time. I call them. I know when they're going through something. And I just check on them, man, just to chop it up, man, for real. Yeah.
You think about Bobby's story, though. Bobby's story that we know all too well. We went from Spofford, the Central Bookings, to Rikers, to prison, and
the precinct knows you.
Yeah,
they watch you from a kid go through all of these different transgressions going through. They follow him. That's why he said I knew they was gonna kill me because they knew me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They knew who I was.
Same predatory behavior, the same way they watch athletes, the same, all of that. You understand? They watch Vic. Mm-hmm. You understand? They watch you. You should, like, we got to know these other aspects too. You know, for city, how long? 10 years. For state, how long? 15 years. For the feds, how long? 20 years. You see what I'm saying? You gotta know how far and how long they go back. You know what I mean? Like, they was watching Vic before he had the number 7 on his jersey. They was watching him since he was 6 and 7 years old. You see what I'm saying? And they knew who he was around. Like, this is what scouting, like all these, like, that's too much. But I'm just saying, like, there's certain aspects that we gotta look to in regards to what it is. Like, you know, if you were in the Cub Scout or the Boy Scouts, think about what that scout means. Those are the same people who come to see you. They've been watching you since you was a child. A scout is a military term. I was in the Army. If you're dealing with a scout, That's somebody who has a mission. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know, in regards to reconnaissance, you have a certain kind of mission. These are the same kind of scouts that they send out to scout out the situation and bring back that intel. So they send these scouts out to prey on our children, to watch our children's behavior. They're not just watching you in the game. You see what I'm saying? You think, oh, the scouts is out for the game and blah, 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 and this, I got to show out. They watching your friends. Nowadays, it's even worse. You don't have to say nothing. You on social media, they watching every fucking thing. How many football numbers you seen based off of social media posts? They came to get you for something you did on social media. You understand what I'm saying? So you're making it very, very, very easy to come in and snatch you up. So even if you ain't did nothing, just the fucking threat of you being in handcuffs, you in the back of the car, you going to the precinct, all of these things are psychological. You see what I'm saying? So you might be able to deal with it, but your man ain't gonna deal with it. He gonna tell something, or she gonna tell something when that little bit of pressure is applied. You understand? Like, you understand that deception is rule of law in regards to, you know, how police operate. I could give you an example real quick, and not you. Mm-hmm. If I call you up and be like, yo, Z, this officer such and such, I had a couple questions to ask you. Do you mind coming by the station so I can get your statement? You understand? But right, you know what it is, but the next person don't know that they under arrest. Mm-hmm. I thought I was just here to answer some questions on the side of the road. 5 brothers and sisters out here. You get pulled over by the police, you under arrest. They ain't telling you under arrest. Y'all watching these videos with these other people telling you this other shit. Like, you got to be real and understand that you under arrest. And then they release you on your own recognizance when they give you that ticket.
Right.
You be bugging out here. You understand? Like, you out here with a mercenary who out for blood, and they looking to get you on the side of the road. They looking to get you in every kind of way that they possibly can. You know what I mean? Charles Dutton in Minister Society quoted Kwame Ture. He said, the hunt is on and you're the prey. This is what he told them. Right. The hunt is on and you're the prey. So we got to be, you know, wise to the deception, like I was saying earlier about what's going on, knowing what kind of traps you in. You know what I'm saying? We heard DMX say the snake, the cat, the rat, the dog. How you going to see him when you living in the fog? You see what I'm saying? You living in the fog. Not it's foggy one day or some days. You're living in this fog. You can't see nothing. You understand? You can't distinguish friends from foe in that instant.
So let me ask you this, Born. Knowledge of self. Is that the answer?
It's a answer. It's a foundation. And now you look at what knowledge of self is to you. You see what I'm saying? Where did you get that knowledge of self from? Did you get it from self and con, or did you get it from someone else's self? You see what I'm saying? So when you look at these instances in that regard, your culture, your people, your family, all these things that's around you are supposed to set you up in a position to where you have that experience, to where you gain that knowledge of self. You see what I'm saying? We got children. Children don't ask us questions because they want answers only. They asking us questions to see if we're gonna lie to them. You see what I'm saying? They come with our best genetics. So oftentimes they ask questions for confirmation and not for information. You got to know the difference. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So when you're dealing with that perspective in regards to what knowledge of self is, you have to understand what that is and how it's applicable to the situation that you in, or the circumstance that you in. You see what I'm saying? You could be looking at, certain things. And I think what knowledge of self, kind of came into play really for the main stage was through hip hop. So a lot of the music, was laced with, some of our teachings, some perspectives and things like that. But you don't get this information without somebody had to guide you. Somebody had to be your educator. Somebody had to be your enlightener. Somebody had to put you on. You understand? So in my family, it was my family. You see what I'm saying? So my mother equipped me from young with all of the information that I needed. You see what I'm saying? And what my mother and my father and my communities push, me and my family, my brothers and sisters, they equipped me and empowered me to be able to love our people in the way that I do, because I received that love from them at home. You see what I'm saying? And love ain't always the good shit. Love is sometimes we gotta wrestle so you can see you can't beat me. You understand what I'm saying? But you don't give up though. So that's a life lesson. You in a wrestling match with older bro, no matter what you do to older bro, go air you out. But you gonna have to learn a way to adapt and anticipate older brothers' moves. You see what I'm saying? So all these things come into play. So life is the same way. So as you ascend and as you acquire knowledge and skills, you got to know that these things come to you in that kind of way. You see what I'm saying? You got to be adaptable. That's wisdom. You see what I'm saying? You learn that lesson. You know, they say, you know, a smart man learns from his mistakes and a wise man learns from the mistakes of others.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So they're fortunate enough people that's out here that through wisdom, they're like, they doing that. Like my younger sisters and them, they see me get all them behind whoopings. They was like, nah, we just gonna be good because some be getting the business. You understand what I'm saying? Like my mother turned into a whole nother person. She not a nice lady with us. You understand what I'm saying? She morphed into a whole nother person because I had to take that in a certain kind of way. You see what I'm saying? So these are all lessons and tidbits that come from your home. Your family is our oldest religion. You see what I'm saying? Our family. So the things that come from our family. So whether like you ain't get done dirty in the streets first. You got took advantage of at home first. You understand what I'm saying? Big brother, little brother, whatever the case may be. You had to learn. You're supposed to learn them lessons and be smart outside. You ain't just be running around outside with anybody and anything because you want to be down. Like if you ain't have that in your house, if you're an only child, you got to learn your own way. You understand what I'm saying? So, but if you in the family, that's your first mission right there. You learn all that shit in your family. You learn good, bad, ugly, right, wrong, indifferent, all that in the family, in the house. You understand? So these are all lessons that turn into blessings later on because we repeat those cycles that are righteous and we, seek to improve upon those things that was wrong, shit that we learned that was wrong, that was fucked up. You know what I mean?
Sure. So what do you, we spoke about this a little bit last week also, but we didn't really get in depth. What's you guys' opinion now on Apple paying artists 1 cent per stream? And to add some context to this, Rob laughed, 1 cent. Do you know what the split was prior to it going to 1 cent?
Yes.
Probably 1/1000th of a penny.
Spotify per stream was giving these artists 0.0003 to 0.0005. I don't even.
Thousands of a penny.
You call that a cent? Like, what do you call that? That's not even money. Jesus Christ. That's terrible, man. And to think, right, from streaming, the royalties, they got to go to the right holders. They got to go to intermediaries, publishers, distributors, record labels before they get to the artists. Jesus Christ, man. Like said, man, they're out here deceiving people, and people are not paying attention to the things that they sign. People are not reading contracts, understanding the word and the vibration of these things, and they just figure like, you know what, I'm gonna get on this label, I'm gonna go with this team, and then all my prayers are answered. And then they find out 2 years down the line, they ain't got shit.
You know what I feel bad for? I feel bad for artists, the artists who signed record labels years ago, because newer artists, at least there's some data that tells them what the streaming splits are and things like that, as much as they want to say. But imagine if you're an artist like Big Daddy Kane that signed a record deal with Cold Chillin' back in the days, and his music is getting streamed like crazy. The record label probably getting a substantial part of that money. You're probably seeing pennies, if less than pennies, if that. That's ridiculous.
Right? On Spotify, it's probably hundreds of thousands of catalogs from hundreds of thousands of different artists. On Spotify, there's only 13,000 catalogs that's generating over $50,000. That's
really
crazy. Only
surprising.
But did you think about it? But how much you got to be streaming to get 50?
Oh, you talking about how much the artist is generating 50,000? I was saying like how much they're actually the record label making money hand over fist.
If the artist is only getting 50,000, it's 13,000 catalogs that are generating $50,000.
Yeah, that sounds about right from the artist. I thought you meant generating over 50 grand in total revenue. Only 13,000. I'm like, hell no. Streaming wouldn't even be a business if that was the case.
Right. And I'm just thinking about all of the artists and their catalogs that they have, because I got Spotify. I'm subscribed to Spotify, and it's over 150 million subscribers at $10 at a subscription.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Just to listen to music that you want to listen to continuously, which is it's all right, but you got to think about the artist. Is the artist getting paid for this? That's why I don't mind when I go to an artist page, I buy a shirt, or you know what I'm saying? I try to contribute some other way because they're not getting it through the stream. So, you know, God bless Apple for giving niggas a penny.
Good, Z, what you think?
Like I said before, man, when we was on Now This Born Alive's joint last week, it's very few artists that have the appeal in order to make more than that penny. They're gonna have to do it. Like artists like Drake, artists like Lil Baby. As far as talking about, of course, with hip hop.
Wait a minute. So you assuming that this is negotiable? That they have the ability to negotiate more than a penny?
It has to be, because the right-minded artists such as Drake or Lil Baby that's crazy on their business acumen, they have to have that clause in their contract, in their initial contract. If they haven't, okay, say if Lil Baby don't have that right now. I'm sure Drake did, because Drake is 11 years in the game. Drake superseded so many benchmarks already that he had to have that allocated in his in the restructuring of his contract. Lil Baby, he might not. Right. So at the end of the day, people like Drake, they gotta have a crazy leverage. The number two is because Drake already signed that $20-some-odd million deal a couple of years ago with Apple. So being that Apple is paying a penny per stream, they have to restructure. It's kind of like minimum wage. Okay, if they have Drake signed to this particular contract, Drake's lawyer, I hope, is smart enough to have that clause in there that, okay, if Apple decides to transition and pay more per stream, this particular artist has to have more leverage in that game per stream.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Escalation. What do you think, Knowledge? Lord, thank you for the penny.
Just said you gotta read the labels, man. You gotta read the labels. And he said that after getting done in by two labels. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know, before Wu-Tang, you know, Words from the Genius. See what I'm saying? You gotta read the labels. You know, so
right.
Again, you looking at face people versus who really calling shots in the place people. You see what I'm saying? So you got face people. Face people is Apple. You know, face people is Amazon. Face people is Spotify. You know, face people is Walmart. You know what I mean? Like, those are face people. Those are face people versus who in the place, like who really, you know, calling the shots and really doing what they got to do. They're not giving up their hold on something that they instituted. These labels, you understand what I'm saying? These are all labels that instituted this stuff to put themselves in a position for generation to generation to generation to generation to generation to come. This is how you got a term like capitalist. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so someone who's in the position to capitalize off of, you know, your inability to do or your willingness to submit. You understand what I'm saying? Like, oh, you can't afford this car?
All right, I gotta wait for you.
I got you. You understand? Oh, you can't afford this house? I got you. You see what I'm saying? This is not the way the world operates. The world doesn't operate like this in totality. In Africa, if you got a car, that's your car. You pay money. They ain't got no payment plans for no damn car. If you ain't got no money for the car, guess what?
You ain't got no car.
You hoofing it. You know what I'm saying? You Ubering or whatever the hell you doing. You see what I'm saying? You hoofing it. You're not in that position. The world don't all operate in the same place that this place does. But this place feeds off of the world and, you know, provides that shit with a cut. So this false reality that we living in, that we in a first world country, and if you say something crazy on social media, somebody could come lock your ass up. You might want to reevaluate what you're dealing with, this country or this corporation, whatever the case may be. You see what I'm saying? So if you look at that, you know how to operate out here in regards to the language of these contracts and what you're contracted to do or not do. You see what I'm saying? Like, so one penny, you dealing with folks that operate off of a 10th. You see what I'm saying? Like, so no matter, they give you a 10 for what you worth. You go to the pawn shop with something, you done paid $500 for it, they give you 10% off of that. They got leeway in between. They starting off with like 7, and the smart one's gonna get 10, maybe 12 in the case. You see what I'm saying? But they lowballing from the door. Yeah. You know, so if you satisfied with 1 cent, you know what I'm saying? Just like Z was saying, everybody ain't in that, you know, situation. Like, what the fuck you talking about 1 cent? Hey, yo, get my man on the phone. Who's this guy I'm even talking to? You understand what I'm saying? But most people not in that position. You know, what's the singer? What's the elder sister name that said, don't listen to none of my stuff online? She trying to get her master's. What's her name?
Was that Anita Baker?
Anita Baker.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I think it was Anita Baker.
Yeah.
She like, don't play none of my shit. You understand? So she took a stand. She's like, oh, okay, you people watching and paying attention. Hey, don't play my shit until I own my shit. Right. So that, like, yeah, don't play my shit until I own my shit. Like, that shit makes sense. You see what I'm saying? So hopefully that starts a ripple effect amongst, you know, some of the elders. You know, the other side of it, I just say it real quick. You was talking about a hip hop union. Hold on, Z, real quick. Hold on, Z, real quick. Just this last point, because it goes to what you're saying. When you was talking about the hip hop union, if they offer you a situation like this, they're gonna be talking about, like, what do you mean? What do you need a union for? You see what I'm saying? We're offering you this. You didn't take advantage of this. So it's like 401k. If you ain't putting nothing into it, you ain't getting nothing out.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, so if they use investments and you thinking, okay, when you hit a certain amount of age, you're gonna get a pension, it's a wrap. You see what I'm saying? So this becomes another situation, and this is why it led into the other conversation about cryptocurrency that y'all was talking about with Red Pill and how that became relevant. It becomes very, very relevant in that situation to where you get of a certain age and you can't do what you used to do. You're able to take care of yourself and your family don't got to work. So I just wanted to deposit that real quick. Pardon me, Z.
Yeah, Z.
No, it's all good. I mean, all that stuff was right and exact. Tell you what, y'all. Who's the artist, right, that has the capability?
Or the pop quiz.
you know I gotta do it, right? This, right? Who's the hip hop artist, 1 or 2, that has the capability to ink a deal with Amazon?
I mean, anybody would do a deal with Drake.
And who else?
Anybody would love to do it. Jay-Z, I'm sure, could get a deal with them if he wanted to. So
mark my words, fellas. Being that we talking about this restructuring of the system as far as the streaming, if Drake don't already have it set in place, and they gonna F him over on that higher bracket, he's gonna go to Amazon.
Well, here's the thing I think to think about also, because we're looking at this from a standpoint of the negative attribute to it. Think about independent artists. If you're an independent artist and you put your streams, you put your music on Apple now to get streamed. What was it before, Rob? You were saying it was getting a third of a penny or something like that?
0.0003.
So
three. Yeah.
So if you're an independent artist that you completed your project for $5,000 in your basement studio and you get 100,000 streams, you get $100,000 over it. Like you could probably come up and do something with it. If you don't have that overhead, the reason why the record labels is robbing people is because the record label overhead and all that other nonsense, you know. But I'm looking like, what could this mean? What could this mean for somebody independent? What could this mean for somebody independent? Remember with the where Heatmakers was telling us about how him and Jim Jones was flipping albums and they re-up, they get it and they re-up and make another album out of it. So, you know, in particular, I also think about like, straight bangers. They selling their stuff, distributing on their own. But, yeah.
You know how many streams you have to give just to get $100,000, even though they paying the penny?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, well, here's the thing. I think that honestly, there's that right now in terms of
like
you look at Spotify.
That's like 10 million streams.
If you look at Spotify, if you look at Apple, if you look at YouTube, the trick that they have in the language is that it's hard to even determine what constitutes a stream. So if you look at the back end of Spotify, they have other language in there that doesn't necessarily mean a stream. They have shit in place that says it's a start, meaning that if somebody started and they listen for a certain amount of time, that only constitutes a start. A stream,
10 million streams.
A stream has to be a certain amount of time in order for it to actually register as a stream. So that's what I'm saying. Like, as much as they saying that we giving a penny, there's still a lack of transparency as it relates to what constitutes a stream and stuff like that. But I'm saying, in theory, if a stream was only a person had to play your song in its entirety from start to finish, and I think Joe Budden was talking about this on his podcast also, from start to finish, for an independent artist, they can make decent money with it for an independent artist. But we don't. But still, it's so convoluted that we don't know what actually constitutes
as a stream. Right.
And they're not going to readily divulge that information, because even with Apple doing this, Apple still didn't give out other key elements to give you the full aspect of the deal. They just told you, hey, all these other people are paying substantially less. We're going to give 1 cent. Why?
That's because a great topic, though.
By telling you that they're going to give 1 cent, it makes them look more competitive or more artist friendly than some of the other streaming services.
And you want traffic.
They do it.
And Apple
wants that. That's a great topic, though. Because okay, do you guys know that? All right, I know that there are times where an artist that's signed can ask the label to open up the books, but do you think it's quarterly or based upon the contract to where they can see what the real numbers are? I don't know.
The contract, if it's written in the contract, you got to abide by the contract. You can't just arbitrarily.
Well, you talking about opening up the books, and you talking about for accounting purposes?
Yeah, based upon what you just said as far as with the stream, because labels like.
But labels,
what I'm saying from it is that labels can deviate the numbers.
Labels don't dictate what constitutes a stream. Labels are not. The streaming service is what constitutes what dictates a stream. So again,
I understand that, but who's paying the artist? It's not the streaming service, it's the label.
Well, it has to all funnel through. So if you think about it, whatever language the streaming service is using to say this constitutes a stream, I'm sure they're holding the label to the same standard to say, you know what?
Right. But who's saying? Go ahead. Because
the back end of it also is that, think about it, streaming services generate revenue based on what? Advertising dollars. So if somebody streams some shit for 5 seconds, but they could throw an ad in at the beginning or whatever it is, you know, the streaming service is still going to eat anyway. So right now the streaming services are sort of at the forefront of the game, because I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if record labels still haven't been able to draw down the actual data in terms of what constitutes a stream and stuff like that. Like, this is something I think that they're still trying to work with and fine tune.
And it should be based on the fans' listening time.
And that's where it's probably going to get. That's where it's probably going to get. But I'm sure, like, think about the different platforms. It probably varies based on from platform to platform. There are times when I look at the back end. We could look at the back end of our Spotify service and people who listen to the podcast on Spotify, and you could see X amount of listeners, X amount of starts, and then you look and you see how many streams that actually were. So they're still in the process of trying to actually get the specifics of what constitutes a stream, and they haven't been specific in terms of what the language actually is. So the record, whatever revenue the record label is probably getting from the streaming service, I'm sure the record label is probably funneling that out how they see fit, because right now streaming service shit is like the wild wild west in terms of how revenue is divvied up to the artists, and you know artists are always going to get the less amount.
Yes,
sir. So prime example, right? Being that Jay-Z has sold a very significant share to Jack Dorsey, who owns Square, who owns Twitter. Hear me out.
Hold on. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I want to say this. To use Jay-Z and Drake, I think, is anomalies. Like, they're the exception to the rule. Like, these are, one dude owns his own or partially owns his own streaming service. Another dude is arguably the biggest selling artist in a planet. There are more people who are failing using this streaming service, more artists that are throwing punches at the wind with their streams
right.
versus.
But let me finish my question though.
Go ahead.
I don't think you know what I was about to say.
Go ahead.
Being that Jay-Z sold a considerable share or stake to Jack Dorsey, which owns Square, which owns Twitter, which owns Cash App, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't think Jay-Z saw this coming, or you think Jay-Z just did it blindly? As far as I mean, not saying everything else in the whole. I'm just talking about as far as
Jay-Z is a shrewd businessman. I think Jay-Z is a shrewd businessman, and I think Jay-Z initially capitalized off of the artist that he had invest in Tidal, because he told them that they would get a bigger share than what the other platforms were giving them. But if you look at the share that Tidal was playing, that shit is less than a penny also. So how does Jay-Z and Drake correlate with what we're saying? Because again, like we're talking about two people in Jay-Z and Drake that have a different type of leverage.
Most out of all streaming services.
Jay-Z and Jay-Z and Drake have more leverage to go to a negotiating table than Jim Jones, a person who probably is probably relying on trying to eat off of streaming and other shit.
Who wouldn't want to do business with Drake and Jay-Z at this point?
What you said?
Who wouldn't want to do business with Drake and Jay-Z?
Yeah, it's true. And honestly, I think at one point, Zane, you're right. I think 1 point Tidal was paying the highest, right?
At one time.
Do you know what that rate was that they were paying?
I thought it was close to a penny. It wasn't close to a penny?
No.
I think it was. Like theirs actually was higher than Spotify and everything else. So that's why
we're talking about 4 pennies. We're talking about
Tidal 10,000 streams equals $100,000. I mean, 10 million streams equals $100,000. You know how crazy that is to the average independent artist?
Tidal was paying 0.01250. Spotify is
0.0. Yeah, so a penny. They was paying a little bit more than a penny. 0.1025.
No, Zane, that's how you call it. Actually,
0.01 right there is a penny. 25, so they paying a penny and a quarter. They paying a penny and a quarter.
Hold on. You gotta listen. Listen, just listen for a second.
Bro.
YouTube 0.00069, Spotify 0.00437, Apple 0.00735, Amazon 0.00402, a million streams on YouTube, $690, a million streams on Spotify, $4,370. So at the end of the day, none of these streaming services are giving people any money that they could get rich of. And which is saying you said Tyler was paying point. Hold on, whoa, easy, cowboy, easy, relax. So at the end of the day, what Jay-Z did, which I said earlier, is Jay-Z got the other artists to join in under the umbrella of saying that we're going to pay you more per stream. Granted, I get that. That's a great idea. But it wasn't like that Jay-Z was giving people a windfall of money either. There was no money to be made in streaming services because they didn't figure out, or at least they wasn't telling people how to actually to get to the bag for streaming purposes. But what I'm saying is that when we use Jay-Z and Drake,
you couldn't do that, bro.
Jay-Z and Drake as the indicators around this stuff. Like Jay-Z and Drake, to me, that's just my opinion. There are exceptions because there are far more people in the have-nots of streaming than the people like Jay-Z and Drake streaming, and that's what I'm trying to convey to you.
But peep this. The main reason why Jay-Z couldn't do too much more than that, because he had all the major stars of all different genres have a small percentage share of that company. So of course Jay-Z had the majority share, but you had Nicki Minaj, Taylor Swift, Daft Punk, and like 18 other major, if not more major other artists. So with that being with that happening, all these other artists that will eventually be signed under there, that's of course not sharing that ownership. Of course, Jay-Z couldn't afford to do that. But if he was already paying 0.0125 per stream, he was already doing what they doing now. But he was doing a penny and a quarter, a penny and a quarter.
What constitutes a stream? How long do you have to listen to a song for it to constitute a stream? Anybody know?
Thing. That's the main thing.
Not one. You know how long you got to listen to a song for it to constitute being a stream? Did we lose? Yeah, I think we froze. Rob, you know?
30 seconds.
I don't think. Yo, that's a rhetorical question.
No, I don't know. That ain't my lane.
I think it would be at least shit. If a song is the average song on the radio is 3.5 minutes. You would have to listen to that song at least a minute and a half in order to get that stream at least.
And how did you come to that figure? How did you come to that figure? How did you come to that figure?
Well, it's not an exact figure, but I'm just thinking theoretically, it like why would a record label pay the artist? Okay, say if an artist do a 5-minute song, why would a record label pay an artist if the average stream is 30 seconds? Nah, it got to be at least half, bro. That's the way I'm thinking, because that's just giving the artist money. Just like how we all said earlier, the record label business is not into giving artists that they sign money. They trying to drain them for everything that they have. So I would think they have to at least meet them halfway or 60% of the way. So you got to listen to at least 50 to 60% of that song in order to get one stream.
So
not 30 seconds or a minute.
So I think what you're saying definitely makes sense, because that's something I would go with also, to say that you should at least have to listen to half of the song, right? Yeah. For just so we clear, for the label to pay the artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the streaming service telling the label that the song has to be listened to in order for the streaming service to actually pay the label?
That's a good question.
Very good question.
That's a very good question. Because
and that goes back to what I was saying before, that they haven't the streaming services right now hold the data, and that they hold the ball in their court, because they set the terms in terms of what actually constitutes a stream.
They disseminate.
That's just it. They say what constitutes a stream, and then the record label could probably come up with a simple equation.
30 seconds, though.
Huh?
Ain't no 30 seconds, because a cat like Drake could have $5 billion by the end of this year. And we only going into our, not even the ending of the second quarter yet.
Well, Zane, there's so many analytics associated with this, because I would even say that they may say that it's longer than half the song. Right? They may be like, because think about it, a long time ago, even on radio, the algorithm detected that. Why was there a time where people were making songs under 3 minutes? Because they was like, it doesn't fit the radio format, and people's attention span is not for 5 and 6 minutes. When we were younger, you could make a record for 7 minutes and people would stand to it or whatever. But then a record became 3 minutes.
So it'll be real petty if they have it to where the person got to listen to the entirety of the song. That'll be too damn petty.
You never know.
That might make sense, man. You got to listen to the song completely.
You never know. But that's what I said. Like, it's so unregulated now. It's like the Wild Wild West. So it doesn't matter if you Drake, Jay-Z, Nicki Minaj, whoever it is, Prince, whoever it is, they haven't come up with the formula yet in terms of what they determine what constitutes a stream.
Right.
Or if they have, they just haven't disclosed it to record labels.
Prime example, right? Do y'all think? Okay, I say at least 10 years down the line, do you think they will ever make it higher for the average, being that they having like the bare minimum is a penny? Do you think?
I think
10 years from now they'll hire it? They'll make it higher?
It'll be more than a penny, and also they'll probably charge for the amount of time that you listen to a song. I mean, completely. Like, as far as even if it's for a minute and 30 seconds, you're gonna get charged for a minute and 30 seconds.
I think you know what I think so. I think that it will increase beyond a penny. You know why? Because I think, like anything else, as more time passes by, people get more information on it. They begin to put formulas in place. They understand what the true value of it is. They understand how valuable the data is and all these other things. They begin to take all this stuff into consideration, and then I think that they'll be able to figure out not what a fair split is, but how to actually divvy up the money. For me, again, when I see 1 cent when I see 1 cent, I don't think about the big name artists and how they capitalize. I think about the little people who, prior to it being 1 cent, when you had a person who maybe streamed 1,000 times, and let's say a stream is just for this particular instance, let's say a stream is listening to my song in its entirety. You listen to my song 1,000 times right now. What I get off of it? $5 based on the splits. But if you're gonna give me a penny and you listen to my song 1,000 times, in simple plain math, if they said that one full listen constitutes a stream, and a person listens to it 1,000 times, how you call it, unsigned regular artist could get $1,000 out of it. That's how I look at it.
I'm gonna see where y'all, where like both of your head is at, right? What's gonna be the tool that's gonna bridge that to make it even for the artist and also for the record label? And we talked about it.
You tell us, is it gonna be Jack Dorsey and Jay-Z?
NFTs. NFTs.
They're
gonna incorporate the NFTs because that's gonna be like an insurance. That's gonna be like a safe haven for the actual record label and also for the artist.
Of course, that's how you call it. That's a bigger discussion, but I agree with that. The NFTs are gonna revolutionize and change, and NFTs are gonna really allow people to place value on their work, dictate whatever they feel the value to be. So, but record labels ain't coming up off this information. And these streaming services aren't coming up off this information, and these streaming services aren't coming up off this money. So let's move on to the next topic. Derek Chauvin found guilty. What now? What do you think, Zane?
What now? I think there's gonna be unfortunately, as we see, seems like every damn 5 days or so, there's another black woman or black man or child, gunned down by senseless cops that don't know how to do their job right. So I think overall, what should have happened way back in the day, even when like civil rights became a situation where, that came into place. Once civil rights was in place, the government should have took a role into restructuring how cops are trained. It shouldn't happen to where it's like 50 years later to where they talking about it. Number one. Number two, I was doing some research. They have this company called Rap Technologies. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Rap Technologies is supposed to be to where the cops will be given this device and it shoots out a cable. And so instead of a cop who might have a bad day or a cop that's racist or XYZ wants to just gun down minorities at any given moment. So the other option, the better option, if things need to be de-escalated, is to use that device for the cable. But
the reason why they got a taser? Ain't that the same reason they got a taser? So they can use an alternative device?
Well, hear me out. If you have a taser, that goes into the person's space, right? So say if somebody has a gun, a knife, whatever. Say if it's a female cop and you got 3 people that she pulled over for allegedly doing something wrong, that female cop might not have backup. So she would want to use that cable instead of using the taser, getting up on.
Longer reach.
Right, it's a way longer reach. So that's covering the cop. But overall, I think that a lot of things have to happen, man, to where it's like, number one, we got to know our rights, right? Number two, like I said earlier, they have to have a universal training for these cops out here because stuff is just getting too crazy. Number three, I think that just by this happening, and it basically shows that the government didn't care for so long because they could have fixed this a long time ago. But at the end of the day, man, I just think that we have to do something more than marching, because marching right now is it's not doing nothing. I mean, no, I'm sorry. Marching did a lot. Protesting did a lot, but we in a whole nother climate right now. Because right now it shows that way back several months ago, when you had these idiots go and storm the Capitol, it ain't get gunned down. Imagine that if that was blacks doing something like that, they would have got gunned down easily. So it has to be some type of checks and balances, man. Like this stuff can't keep going on. And number 4, the more that the media controls the narrative of what we see, you know, us dying, us getting harassed and all that stuff, it just creates more fear. And like at the end of the day, that whole situation right there, like I would say, like instead of doing marches and protests at these other places, yeah, we could do that too, but we need to start marching down to these damn media networks too.
So you feel that the media, the media's depiction of what's going on with police and people of color, like what in particular?
Yeah, it's like because I mean, prime example, look at what happened with the great legend Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson didn't have all these damn allegations and all that stuff until he started talking about Sony. When he had that big thing back in the 90s, when he was in front of Sony headquarters, and he was saying what he said about Tommy Mottola and all the other craziness or whatever. Then after that, consecutive allegations came. Then after that, years later, of course, Michael Jackson dies. Anybody that stands up for anything in this society that has a name for him, you know, for himself or herself, that are prominent figures that want to open up people's minds, they wind up just, you know, something wind up happening to them. And I'm tired of it, yo. I'm tired of it.
You tired of it?
Yep.
That was passionate, boy. Oh man.
Oh, yeah. No. One more thing too. The black brothers and sisters that are cops that are looking at this stuff happening with their partners that's another race and turning their back to it or acting like they don't see or hear what's happening. Nah. Y'all gotta do a lot better.
That blue wall kind of came down on Derek Chauvin, man, because his superior and his peers are like, that's not policing. You don't kneel on someone for over 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Consider that an arrest. Like, come on, man. But this is a clear-cut situation of what's been going on in this country since the inception of this country. You know what I'm saying? There's just a race of people who feel that they're superior in all of their manners and ways of living over another. And that Thursday, when they came down with the verdict, just showed America in a different light. I think they're trying to reconvene all of the traumatic situations that's happened over the years of putting this finally a cop is going to jail. But then we're still waiting for sentencing. The sentencing is not until I think another 8 weeks or so. And
then we got the other ones that was involved.
Yeah.
Then we got the other ones that's involved after that. I think all this stuff, in my opinion, is sorcery. It's like
thank you, brother. That's what I wanted to say, but I ain't even want to take it there. But thank you for saying that.
Every other week, there's a person being shot or stabbed, and it's happening too concurrently, very concurrently. And I think, like I said, I think it's a way of just keeping a low vibration on our community because it's happening to us. It's keeping us in fear. It's keeping us disheveled, keeping us confused. On top of all the other things we got to dealing with the pandemic. It's like, where do we go? Can't go outside. You can't go here. Got to wear a mask. I might get shot. What do I do? And when you got people cramped up like that, there's going to be an explosion, man. There's going to be an outcry for justice, man. And I just think, honestly, man, you leave out your house and you're going somewhere, know what it is that you might potentially get yourself into. If you get pulled over, Listen, man, hands out the window. I ain't got nothing. What you want me to do? I lay on the floor. Go home. Make sure you get home at the end of the day. Don't get into no arguments. Don't get into no battles. Officer, I ain't do nothing. Why you pulling? They're not hearing that. You know what I'm saying? And if you got somewhere to go and go back home, man. Because you get caught up in the middle, you end up getting caught in a lot of other bullshit, man. But dude, he's gonna serve his time, and then we got to go through the other officers. So this is gonna drag out.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna have people just like, oh, is it over yet? But then, like you always talk about, people's attention span is so short. I honestly believe now that the people heard a verdict, they're not even thinking about it no more.
Yeah, that's true. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, I think having watched the verdict be delivered, like it was, to me, it was a very emotional moment. I think it was an emotional moment because I grew up in an era where I seen, you know, Sean Bell get gunned down and Amadou Diallo get gunned down, and we just fall into a pattern of hopelessness where we just, you know, that whole day I had a whole bunch of anxiety built up inside me because I'm like, I know I'm gonna go home and hear this verdict, and it's gonna be just the same shit all over again.
And see, and that's my point, Shah. The repetitiveness of being let down and the feeling, it's all a cyclical system, man. And I spent sorcery on our community to just keep us low vibration. Because right now, as the pandemic hit, there are a lot of people who have just been innovative, such as us, just been innovative and creative and finding other ways to do things outside of what they was normally doing, the 9 to 5 or whatever they was doing. People are selling juice. People are selling everything. People got podcasts. People got so much going on that they didn't have going on 2 years ago because now they got time to think for themselves. And now that I got this time, I need to use this time wisely. And I think that right there is an explosion in our community because people are doing so much that now the powers that be see it and they got to put a cap on. Now your niggas making too much moves. They got to shoot a couple of y'all and keep the vibration low so y'all ain't got to feel, get no confidence out there to go out and do your thing.
What I don't want to see though is what I don't want to see though is I don't want us taking a victory lap too early. Like people got to put their foot on the gas. Like, you know, I watched the press conferences at the end and it was a huge celebration. It was like, damn, it was getting a guilty verdict was like winning a Grammy. It was like a whole bunch of pomp and circumstance associated with it. And then that to me, I think like it's too early, you know, like, but I get when we start talking about that hopelessness, I get how people could become overjoyed with finally feeling like, God damn, we finally got one, you know. But to me, this is a start to what is going to be a very, very long journey. And I hope people stay vigilant, and I hope people stay aware and they stay in tune. And I hope it doesn't become like similar to what the election cycle was. You know, when the election cycle was here, that was the topic of conversation. All right, we got Joe Biden, and forget it. We don't need to know nothing else about politics. You know, all right, we got Chauvin, guilty verdict. All right, we don't need to follow the case anymore. We don't need to know what's going on. You know, you look at now, every other damn day or every week, there's a new T-shirt with a new person. All right, we like, whose name are we saying this week, or whose name are we saying this day? And it's just like a recurring thing that's going on for us in our communities. You know, what I'm hoping that comes out of this is that people begin to see that there just at the end of the day, there needs to be high levels of accountability for police officers. And right now, I know the government talks a lot about police reform. I think officers get training, but I think that what happens is that it doesn't matter whether you put a person who, because I often hear people say, you know, you need Latino cops and police officers, Black police officers in the neighborhoods and stuff like that. And I get what people are saying, but I feel like that sometimes is like a sophomoric approach to addressing some of these issues. And the reason why I say that is because if you think about in corporate America, when they have when they have tokenism, right? And they put a person in a color, that doesn't necessarily always change the culture of the company. You know, you really have to step back and look at these things in terms of systems. And if police reform is going to happen, it's going to mean that the whole system has been changed and refined. Like there's been acknowledgement that what they're doing in policing is not working, and they need to have other measures and other things in place to make sure that shit is actually successful. But sprinkling Blacks and Latinos around does not necessarily change anything when those Blacks and Latinos are going to get the same police training that other police got. Like there are good police, there are bad police at the end of the day. You know, and I think that
they're good people and they're bad people.
Yeah, and I think that there has to be effort for people to really dig in and do the work. And I think the reason why the government is like sort of on the cusp looking at police reform but haven't gotten entrenched and done the work to actually get on police reform, because I think it means acknowledging a lot of the ills of this country. And there's still many people in government that don't want to acknowledge that systemic racism exists, and that some of these laws and things that are put in place serve to further perpetuate racism, you know, and that's why it's a tough nut to crack. Like in this particular instance with this gentleman, it was so much behind the fact that it was on camera, the fact that it happened at the height of the Black Lives Matter movement, the fact that it happened during the pandemic. There was so much energy mobilized around this particular case and brought to such levels. It was magnified so big that, you know, and maybe this is me being skeptical that this may have been, you know what, we'll give one. This is the one that we're willing to give. Like, this is a man who he lost his wife, lost his job. Now he on suicide watch as a result of this. The look of when they announced the verdict, when I looked at his face, it looked like he was in disbelief himself that they found him guilty. Because we've become, not only have we become conditioned, but just as a society, everybody's become conditioned to be like, wait a minute, you mean I'm actually guilty? People Reverend Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson was crying tears of joy.
Yeah, because they were waiting to hear what we always hearing, man, that psychosomatic normalized trauma of not guilty. Oh, here we go again. You know what I'm saying? Like I swear it's just it's a method of keeping our vibration low and keeping us in fear, man.
Hey Rob, that was great that you brought it up, because I wanted to say is that it's a scientific fact that when we get engulfed in fear and all this other stuff, it lowers our melanin, which is one of our many superpowers.
It lowers your immune system. Period.
Immune system and everything. Right. But once your melanin gets lowered, that's when you know, your immune system and everything else it triggers. It allows the it makes you more vulnerable to crazy energy that's out there in the world. And that's why the unfortunate situation where a lot of that stuff is happening to our people. So but I tell you what, next month, the first Friday, we have a special treat. We have an app, right, called Legal Equalizer that helps people that are being pulled over in general to basically cover themselves, and it's also gonna show the transparency of how things are done. And in a nutshell, that's something that should have been out a long time ago, but we appreciate the company Legal Equalizer willing to do the interview first Friday of next month, which will be the 7th.
Yo, I think that the cops wanted the impression that they were being transparent by giving people them body cams. Yo, we've seen
a lot of them don't care, bro. A lot of them don't care.
Yo, we've seen more instances of violence being perpetuated against people. Only thing that's done is incite us, because now we actually get to see it, and we see for ourselves how terrible it is. So
hey, would you do some Clark Kent stuff to us now that's born alive? You do some Clark Kent stuff on this man?
He wasn't playing. Yo, so let's take it from there. Let's take it from there, from Derek Chauvin's verdict to the 16-year-old from Ohio, Ma'Khia Bryant's tragic death. What are your thoughts on that? Go ahead, Zane. We'll start with you.
I'm sorry, say that again.
16-year-old Ohio, Ma'Khia Bryant's tragic death. The young lady who was shot by the police. Once
again, another senseless situation of, you know, another minority getting killed. Like, how do you not differentiate going through weeks, months of training, right? And you already in the force for so many years. You have a high position as far as for other things that's going on within that occupation. How you don't know what a taser and what a gun look like?
No. This young lady was gunned down by the gentleman who I think he was on the force in 2019. He wasn't on the force for long at all.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the other situation
You're
with
talking about Dante Wright.
Yes. Okay. Now, no. Well,
that's a good. It's funny you bring that up, Zane. Look how many names we running through of people who.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Crazy. That's the sorcery. That's the sorcery I'm talking about. Like, like how was
this young lady? This the young lady that was fighting outside our house.
I'm sorry. Right.
How is it so easy that these cops are pulling triggers?
Right.
Very easy to pull a trigger in an incident where you either come in to de-escalate, probably even pull out your fucking gun. But then you find out, all right, you walk up to a situation, there's a little melee, little argument going on, and all of a sudden you're already in fear. You know, the story with this young lady, from what I understand, an older lady came to fight her. Yeah. And she was in a foster care, and the foster care mother was going against her. The only time she felt safe to come out and fight, because they kept coming to her house to jump her, is when her father came around. So when her father finally came around, he had the courage to go out to fight, and she just got tired of being jumped and picked on. I don't know why she had a knife, but she had a knife.
Wasn't that like a 2-on-1 situation, right?
Well, here's the story I read today, and I don't know how true it is, but this was all family, and this was a family dispute. Like she was in foster care, but she was in kinship foster care, staying with her grandmom, and this was older family members that must have been talking to her about cleanliness of the house. So all of this stuff supposedly transpired over family members arguing about why she not keeping her house clean, and escalated to that level.
Escalated
I tell you what, man. When I saw that footage,
and then a police officer shows up. Come on, son.
Yeah.
When I saw that footage, y'all, the one thing that I think could have been the major thing that would have de-escalated that before that cop pulled that mother effing trigger was that I didn't know that was the father on the right side of the camera
who kicked the other young lady.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that whole situation should have been intervened before that damn cop even came. It should have been calmed down before that cop came, bro.
Let me give you the update.
Parents out there watching other family members fight.
Let me give you the update. So Ma'Khia Bryant and two other young women argued over a messy house and unmade bed before a fight that ended with the fatal police shooting of a black teenager. Angela Moore said two of her former foster children had come to her Columbus home Tuesday to celebrate her birthday when the young women and Ma'Khia bickered over housekeeping. It was over keeping the house clean, Moore said. The older one told them to clean up the house because mom doesn't like the house dirty. Moore recalled being told after she arrived home from work early. That's how it all started. So
all I know is that video. All I'm saying is that when you got grown people out there watching younger people fight, family or not or whatever, you gotta intervene. Now, I send my deepest condolences to the young sister that died.
Tragic.
And number two, tragically. And that damn cop, he should be buried under the jail for that. There's no reason.
He won't be, Zane. He won't be. You know why he won't be? He's guilty of using excessive force. But again, when we start talking about them body cams, had there wasn't a body cam, there may have been a more compelling argument as to why he should be. But the story that body cam tells is that he was coming and he saw within a split second a young lady brandishing a knife, getting ready to stab another young lady,
and that's all he focused on.
And that's it. Like for him to shoot her 4 times, and to me, that's excessive for him to shoot her 4 times. Like I think that what happens, sadly, is that we have the vantage point of seeing this stuff slowed down and seeing it on video. But I think for me as an individual, you know, if I got out the car and I seen somebody brandishing a knife, and I've heard people say all kinds of stuff like he could have jumped on her and wrestled the knife away from her, and there's a whole bunch of, I think, what ifs of what the man could have done because of the tragedy that's affiliated with it.
I said, but in them split seconds, somebody's whole world just ended.
Exactly. Yeah. He put in a position to make a very tough decision. And you know, how you call it? If he didn't do it and the young lady stabbed the other woman, what would we be saying today?
It would have been another situation, right?
Yeah, we'd have probably been like, yo, how the hell was the cops there and the cop allowed this man to stab this young lady? I mean, I think that to me is like a no-win situation that probably just what you said, that the adults that were there prior to the police arriving should have worked very hard to de-escalate that situation.
So when I was listening to it, I was like, that's when the I heard the lady talking, then the father was like, "You just killed my daughter," and then he walked off to the side by the garage, and I was like, yo, first of all, it's traumatic. That's the worst thing somebody want to see is that their kid die in front of them.
Damn.
Number two, by a cop. Number three, like all this other extra stuff and emotion that's going on top of like the stuff that the series of stuff that we going through right now. Like, when is it going to end, bro? When is it going to end?
Yeah. The danger with this, though, you see the backlash that LeBron got as a result of this for the tweet that he put out. The danger with something like this, though, is that especially somebody in LeBron's magnitude.
LeBron tweet.
LeBron tweeted about that officer. I think he put up a picture of the officer and put "your next," and he ended up taking it down. They came for him over it. I'm guessing because they feel like LeBron is in a position where there's some level of social responsibility. And I'm sure his handlers probably reached out to him and was like, yo, did you actually video before you formulate an opinion? Because what happens is social media tells us we should be in an outrage. Our peers tell us we should be in an outrage. The circumstances of everything that's going on tells us we should be in an outrage also. So a lot of people aren't actually watching the video or doing any research to figure out what actually transpired. They just hearing, because we've become so accustomed to hearing that somebody was gunned down, a person of color was gunned down. That's all they hear, and they go off of that without having the full
people are so trendy with reposting shit. They just want to repost it.
Yeah,
that's what I dislike about social media is that somebody dies or something horrific, everyone's really quick to repost it. And if you ask me, because you want someone to like your post, like, why would you want to repost that shit?
Because they want to be first. Everybody wants to be first. Everybody's like, I want to report on this first. I want to say I know about it first.
And then the main thing too, when you're looking at this different stuff, like whatever comes out that's catching a heat wave, you got to check the source of the information that it's coming from. You can be getting something from willybobo.com. You know what I'm saying? But then
people got so lazy they don't even go to willybobo.com anymore, Zane. They just scroll through social media and it could be anywhere. Oh, Randy Smith said this. Oh, this is low.
No, but I'm saying like in a nutshell, what I'm saying, make sure that it's a credible source that you get your information from, because somebody can put anything and then it's like, you know, they might use certain jargon or clickbait and that's it. And you repost it and then you looking like Bobo the Fool.
I would be surprised if this officer even actually got indicted. I'd be surprised. And I'm just saying, I'd be surprised if he got indicted, because I think that police, the chief of police, the DA, and all these people, they're gonna look at it and they're gonna be like, well,
we got Dante Wright, we got the young boy from Chicago. One of those situations is gonna get swept under the rug. This one,
I'm telling you, this one right here, they're gonna look at this, and I'd be surprised if they indict that police officer. Now, will he get his gun taken away from him? Probably so. He'll probably get his gun. Yeah, and never be able to police again. But as far as him getting indicted, his argument, if he get an attorney worth half a beans, his attorney gonna be like, the person was brandishing a weapon. Look on the video, it's on the videotape, and that's just gonna be it. I think one of the things that we got to look at in terms of police and accountability, and we talk about it a lot in my house, is that there needs to be, I don't know if we spoke about it on the podcast, but there needs to be an insurance system for police officers, where instead of the cities, the municipalities, or whoever it is, paying these lawsuit money out for when these police commit wrongful acts against people, that these insurance companies pay out on behalf of the officer. So in order for you to be a police officer, you have to have insurance, right? And if you become uninsurable, they can't hire you. People's premiums will be so high, the same way you see people in cars, they're like, yo, I can't get in a car accident because I don't want my insurance to skyrocket. These dudes who be out here busting their guns without thinking and all that, they'll think twice.
Yeah, they'll think
So
twice.
they'll be like, yo, if I put this gun work in, or if I smack this person around, my premium going to be about $1,500 a month. I can't afford to pay that. Like, there has to be other levels of accountability built in around it, because we're not getting convictions. And then after a while, it won't be profitable to be a cop, because most people will be like, the insurance is too high. Look, doctors have to have insurance. Therapists have to have insurance. Why is it that police officers don't have to have insurance?
I tell you what, man, the way stuff going right now, what's that crazy movie we saw back in the day about the police department and how the government will eventually be? Minority what?
Yeah,
Minority Report.
Yeah, we know.
Tom Cruise, they mess around and arrest you before you even do something, because they see it in the future.
Oh man, Zane is wild.
I'm telling you, man. Hey,
but
you gotta match this stuff up, because the way AI going right now and all this other stuff, you never know, man. But I mean, I tell you what, one of the things that really struck me tonight was when Rob was talking about the S word, sorcery, man. It's something. It's multiple things going on in this universe, which I still consider is multi-universes in one. But I mean, come on, man. People got to tap into a higher frequency, because
it's the energy of the planet, man. Energy. If you look, man, the energy is taking out a lot of household names that we've talked about. They're not here no more.
Yeah.
People we've admired, people we've loved, people we've grown to like. I mean, there's so many different things, and they're gone overnight. And it's like, well, we forget that these people are people too. They live lives like us. Some of them might be dealing with health issues, and there's a lot of components to it. But the frequency of it, how often it's happening, how consecutive and consistent it's happening, concerns me. I just like to think that it's bigger than us, and you really need to pay attention to what you're doing, what you're saying, the people that are around you, the energy that you're keeping, because you don't want it to come across you where you have to answer to something that may not be ready for you either. So, I mean, it's just be mindful while we are here in this world, man. When you're out and about with your family, if a certain argument starts, don't go into your militant bag. Walk the other way. That might sound cowardice. That might sound a little weak, a little punkish. But you don't want to get caught up in no shit right now.
Yeah.
You gotta protect your energy out here, yo.
I hope when it's all said and done, and they do end up doing a report and everything, that we find out the justification as to why he had to shoot that gun 4 times.
Yeah.
Right. You can't say you felt threatened.
Yeah. That was extremely excessive to shoot that gun 4 times. But I'm also interested in hearing what the young lady has to say, the woman who she had the knife on, what her response to this is going to be.
Man,
they didn't expect it to go this far. We was just arguing over dirty clothes.
Yeah, she know what she gonna say. She gonna say that he was a hero.
Wow.
She gonna say that he was a hero, that he saved her life.
Because she could have killed him.
That's what she gonna say. That she could have lost.
So basically, when that court trial,
you breaking up, Zane. We can't hear you.
Come up.
Your wife out again.
What you said? Basically, what, Zane?
He's gonna be in there saying something.
We can't hear you. They tap. That's right now. That's the government tapping in and shut you down.
You heard me?
That's the government shutting you down from going rogue.
My bad. I said, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, they shut him down.
The Minority Report. They pulled.
Minority Report came and got Zane, son. That's Mr. Anderson came in for Zane.
They unplugged him from the Matrix.
Nah.
Oh, man. Closing words.
Man. Mental health. Health. Take care of yourself. I mean, it's some trying times, man, and I swear this the energy on the planet is happening by happenstance of lowering your vibration, man. You want to keep your vibration high. I mean, do some acts of love, man. Do something for somebody. Do something for yourself. Make yourself happy. I mean, keep love in the air, man, because there's too much tragedy going on for us to be right now.
Z, closing words. Internet. Yeah, internet is still messed up. Yo, for me tonight was more so about, I think there's a theme like we got to look at, like knowledge. We talking about knowledge, like being knowledgeable.
Hey,
we
man,
from a business standpoint.
Until we start talking about that.
He's messed up again. Talking about knowledge from a knowledge standpoint. We talk, in terms of business. Even talking about like the streams, being knowledgeable about that. Talking about health. Talking about wealth. Talking about, I think that it was a good conversation with Bobby Shmurda, talking about reform and
change and reform.
Yeah, reform and what's going to prevent him from recidivating. And even his closing discussion, just to me, like a lot of stuff at the end of the day goes back to personal accountability, and looking at like what we're accountable for and holding each other accountable. Like, I think that's one of the things that I'll personally say that in our community, I think sometimes we lack on. Like, we don't hold each other accountable the way we should hold each other accountable. We're quick to hold other people accountable, but we don't hold each other accountable. And I think that that's detrimental and preventing us from growing. Like, we got to be able to air our own dirty laundry, even if it's not in public for others to know, but we got to be able to tap each other on the shoulder and be like, nah, you can't be doing that, or you out of pocket, or that's wrong. Because to me, what happens a lot is that we throw a lot of the issues that we have on things like society, the government, this person, that person, and it's that. Yeah, rather than us taking any kind of, once you start farming it out and blaming all these other people, then it becomes they can only be the people who fix it. But there are things that internally that we can do to fix some of this stuff and to address some of this stuff, and if we're not willing to be open and honest, then there's not going to be any progress. So that's my takeaway. Thank you everybody for pulling up tonight on what was a dope episode. Thank you to Knowledge Born Allah, who tapped in for a minute. He caught the Wi-Fi issues also. Zane, who tapped in, and then the Minority Report took him out. We'll get you guys back next week. Next week we got an episode on Wednesday where we're gonna have the legend Special Ed joining us for a conversation. We're gonna keep building.
That's it, man. Let's keep doing it.
Everybody.
Peace.
Good evening.